All right, so ready to dive into the world of coffee, tea, cocoa, and spices.
Yeah.
We're talking about becoming a wholesale merchant, and we've got this deep dive into RoleCatcher's resources to help you ace that interview.
It's a pretty dynamic field, and today we'll unpack common questions, give you some strategies, and even sprinkle in some insights from RoleCatcher's career guide so you can really stand out.
Yeah, and let's not forget about that secret weapon, RoleCatcher's AI. It can help tailor your answers, and you'll get feedback, specifically for this wholesale merchant role, ready to become a master negotiator in the world of all these delicious commodities.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in.
Okay.
So one of the first questions you might encounter really digs into your understanding of international trade. You might hear something like, "Can you describe your experience with international trade?"
It seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really getting at here?
They want to see more than just, a laundry list of countries you've worked with. It's more about, showcasing that you really grasp those, import and export procedures, things like trade agreements, tariffs, and even just like the cultural nuances of different markets.
Oh, so how do you convey that depth without, overwhelming them with information?
Focus on like specific examples of where you successfully navigated those complexities of international trade. Maybe you ran into some unexpected delays because of customs regulations or negotiated a tough contract with a supplier from a completely different culture. Those real-world scenarios really highlight your practical experience.
That's a great tip. I like that. And to add to that, could you maybe touch on some potential follow-up questions that they might ask?
Of course, they might go a little deeper and ask something like, what are the biggest challenges you foresee in international trade for this industry? And this is where your research on current events and trends really becomes super important.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You have to show them you're not just, knowledgeable about the past, but you also have a keen eye on, what the future of the industry holds. Speaking of challenges, let's move on to another big one. Sales interviewers. They always want to assess your strategies for driving revenue. You can almost bet that they'll ask something like, what strategies have you used to increase sales and revenue in your previous roles?
Right. This is your moment to shine, to highlight those achievements and showcase your strategic thinking. Did you lead the launch of a new product line that just, blew past expectations? Or maybe you secure a major partnership that really expanded your company's market reach?
It's all about, showing them tangible results.
Yeah.
And to really, knock their socks off, quantify your achievements with numbers. Make it concrete. What about follow-up questions on this topic? What could they ask?
Be ready for them to ask how you would adapt those strategies to the unique challenges of their specific market. This is where all that research you did on the company, their competition, and the current market landscape is going to be crucial. You need to show them that you've done your homework and you can apply your skills to their specific context.
It's all about, tailoring your approach and showing them you're not just a, one-size-fits-all kind of salesperson. Now let's shift gears and get to the heart of a wholesale merchant's role, sourcing and purchasing. They might ask, what is your experience with sourcing and purchasing coffee, tea, cocoa, and spices?
So this is your time to showcase your expertise in that supply chain. Do you know all about the different origins for these products? Can you talk about quality control measures? Like, the importance of cupping scores for coffee, or what fair trade certification even means?
Hold on, cupping scores. I've heard that term before, but could you break that down for our listeners who maybe haven't?
Oh, of course. So cupping, it's like this standardized procedure for evaluating coffee beans. Trained tasters, they assess all these characteristics like the aroma, the flavor, the acidity, and they assign these scores based on what they find. Those scores, then they determine the grade and the price of the beans. So mentioning that you know about cupping, it just shows you're really serious about quality.
Oh, that's fascinating. I'm learning something new every time. And what about those follow-up questions? What might they ask to, dig a little deeper?
Well, they could ask something like, how would you ensure ethical and sustainable sourcing practices? This is such a crucial aspect of the industry these days. Interviewers want to see that you're committed to responsible sourcing. Are you familiar with, different sustainable farming methods? Certifications like Rainforest Alliance. Those details show you're aligned with their values.
It's about showing them you're not just, focused on profits, but also on making, ethical and sustainable choices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how about staying ahead of the curve in this constantly changing industry? How do you stay up to date with industry trends and developments?
This question is really designed to figure out how passionate and proactive you are about learning. Mention like specific industry publications, online forums, maybe even influencers you follow. Do you attend conferences or workshops?
Yeah, it's about showcasing your genuine interest in the field and showing them you're committed to continuous learning. What if they follow up with what emerging trends in the coffee, tea, cocoa, or spice industry are you most excited about?
Ooh, that's where you can really shine. Have you been following, the rise of single origin chocolates or the growing demand for organic and fair trade spices? Maybe you're super intrigued by blockchain technology and how it can increase transparency in the supply chain?
This is your chance to show them that you're a forward thinker who's really, excited about the future of the industry. And before we move on, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI. How can our listener use this tool for these types of questions specifically?
RoleCatcher's AI, it's a real game changer when it comes to interview prep. You can actually put your answers to these specific questions in and get personalized feedback. The AI, it's going to analyze your responses, point out areas for improvement, and even suggest ways to tailor your answers for maximum impact.
It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Hmm.
Now let's dig into another crucial aspect, quality control. Get ready for a question like, how do you ensure that the products you sell meet high quality standards?
This is where you showcase your meticulous approach to quality. Don't just say you'll taste the coffee or, check how the spices look. Go deeper. Talk about your experience with specific testing protocols. For example, are you familiar with different grading systems for tea?
And what about follow-up questions? What if they ask, what role does technology play in maintaining quality control in this industry?
This is your chance to show off, your understanding of how technology is changing the game. Are you familiar with platforms that use sensors to track things like moisture levels in coffee beans during shipping? Or maybe you've read about companies using DNA testing to, verify that their spices are authentic. These examples show you're aware of the latest advancements.
It's all about, proving you're not stuck in the past, but you're embracing the future.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to inventory management, a critical skill for any wholesale merchant. They might ask, how do you manage inventory and ensure that products are stocked appropriately?
Right. Here's where you can really highlight your organizational skills and your logistical expertise. Talk about your experience with, different inventory tracking systems. Are you familiar with different forecasting methods, to predict those demand fluctuations?
And those curveball follow-up questions. What if they throw something at you like, how would you handle a sudden surge in demand for a specific product?
Oh, yeah. That one tests your ability to think on your feet and come up with creative solutions. Would you work with your suppliers to speed up those deliveries? Or could you, leverage your existing inventory to meet that demand right away while you're waiting for more stock to arrive?
It's all about, demonstrating that you've got those problem-solving skills and you can adapt to unexpected situations.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be a great way to practice your answers to these tricky follow-up questions. You can get feedback on your approach and make sure you're coming across as confident and competent.
It's like having a secret weapon to help you nail those tough scenarios. Now let's talk about pricing. It's super important for profitability. Be prepared for how do you ensure that your pricing strategies are both competitive and profitable?
Right. So here's where you show off, your understanding of market dynamics and your ability to balance, competing priorities. How do you research competitor pricing? Do you use a cost plus pricing model or value-based pricing or, maybe a mix of different strategies?
And then bam, they hit you with, how would you adjust your pricing strategy in response to changes in global commodity prices?
Oh, the ever-changing global market. This is where your deep understanding of the coffee, tea, cocoa, and spice industries really gets tested.
You need to show them that you're not just reacting to those market swings, but you're proactively trying to, anticipate and mitigate risks.
Exactly. Would you think about hedging against price fluctuations? Maybe by using futures contracts? Or would you negotiate, longer-term contracts with suppliers to lock in better prices?
These are all excellent points to consider. Yep. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, any final thoughts on how RoleCatcher's AI can help with these pricing questions?
For sure. RoleCatcher's AI can take a look at your responses and give you valuable insights that are specifically tailored to the role you're going for. It can point out any gaps in your knowledge or areas where you might need to give more specific examples.
It's an awesome resource to refine your approach and, make sure you're presenting yourself as, that knowledgeable and strategic pricing expert.
We'll be back soon with more insightful questions and expert advice to help you, completely conquer that wholesale merchant interview. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into acing your wholesale merchant interview, for that world of coffee, tea, cocoa, and spices.
Yeah, we've covered some pretty crucial stuff so far, like how to navigate those tricky questions about international trade, sales strategies, sustainable sourcing practices, and even how to show that you're aware of, those emerging trends.
Right. Now let's get into an area that often trips people up, customer service and relationship management.
Yeah, it's easy to get, caught up in the logistics and the numbers, but those personal connections, they really do make a difference in this business. Oh, absolutely. Be ready for a question like, can you describe your experience with customer service and relationship management?
So this is your chance to really, highlight those people skills and prove that you're not just, a transaction-focused person.
Exactly. Share some examples of how you've, gone above and beyond for your clients. Maybe you resolved a super complex complaint, really smoothly and efficiently.
Right.
Or maybe you nurtured a partnership that led to repeat business and glowing referrals.
Yeah, it's about showing your ability to, build trust and rapport and those genuine connections with clients.
And speaking of building connections, how can RoleCatcher's AI help, our listener get ready for this type of question?
So RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful in analyzing your answers to these, behavioral questions. It can give you feedback on whether you're effectively, communicating those interpersonal skills and highlighting those relevant experiences.
Or it's like having, a virtual coach to help you identify any blind spots and, just strengthen your storytelling. Okay, so let's move on to another question that really digs into those interpersonal skills. How do you approach negotiations with suppliers and customers?
All right, so this is where you get to show off, your strategic thinking and, how the good your communication skills are.
Yeah.
It's about proving that you can get those favorable outcomes while still maintaining strong relationships.
Right. Think about, your prep process. Do you research the other party's needs and what they're hoping to achieve? Do you come up with a clear BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement? Share some examples of negotiations that went really well where, everyone came out ahead.
And then, those follow-up questions,
Yeah.
they can really put you on the spot. Like, what if they ask, what's your strategy for navigating a negotiation where, there's a big difference in opinion?
Oh, yeah. That's where you show you can stay calm under pressure,
Yeah.
think outside the box and find that common ground. Would you focus on, finding shared interests and building that rapport? Could you maybe reframe the problem to find a solution that works for, both sides and meets those core needs?
It's all about, showing that you're flexible, you've got those problem-solving skills, and you can, keep things positive and collaborative even when things get tough.
Exactly. And practice makes perfect. RoleCatcher's AI can give you great feedback on your negotiation approach, help you refine your strategy and just boost your confidence.
Oh, it's an awesome tool for, really honing those negotiation skills. Now, let's talk about something that's especially relevant for leadership roles.
Yeah.
Team management. You might get hit with a question like, how do you manage a team and ensure that they are meeting their goals?
All right, so this is your chance to showcase your leadership style, your ability to motivate and guide others to success. Do you set clear expectations and give regular feedback? Do you give your team members the power to, take ownership and share their ideas?
It's about, showing them you can foster a positive and productive work environment. Speaking of the work environment, what about those follow-up questions that, dig into conflict resolution?
Yeah, they might ask you something like, how do you handle conflict resolution within a team? Conflict happens everywhere, so it's really important to show them you can handle it well.
Do you actively listen to everyone and try to get to, the root of the problem? Do you, encourage open and respectful communication?
Share a time when you successfully, dealt with a conflict and help the team, move forward. It shows you can create that, harmonious and collaborative atmosphere.
And, don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be a great resource for practicing your answers to those, leadership-focused questions. You can get feedback, see where you can improve, and just, refine your answers so that you come across as, confident and competent.
Okay, so before we get to the last part of our deep dive, let's talk about something super important that often gets overlooked. Personal branding.
You mean like having a fancy logo and a perfect Instagram?
Not exactly, although, a good online presence can help. I'm talking about how you present yourself professionally in this industry. What makes you different from other candidates? What's your unique value?
Oh, I see. It's about showing off your strengths, your passions, your vision for the future of the industry.
Right. Think about what makes you stand out as a wholesale merchant. Are you, a master negotiator who just gets the best deals? Do you have a deep understanding of, sustainable farming and a commitment to ethical sourcing? Maybe you're just a natural networker who loves building relationships.
Yeah, identify those things and weave them into your answers,
Yeah.
throughout the interview.
It's about telling your story and showing how your experience and your values and your goals, line up with the company's mission and goals.
Yeah, it's about making a lasting impression, one that sets you apart.
Yeah.
And speaking of standing out, how can RoleCatcher's AI help with this?
RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your resume, your LinkedIn profile, even your answers to interview questions to help you figure out, your key strengths and what makes you different.
Yeah.
It can even give you suggestions for how to talk about your personal brand, more effectively.
It's like having a personal branding consultant in your pocket,
Mhm.
helping you craft that, compelling narrative.
Now, in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some, really advanced strategies for using RoleCatcher's AI to, just maximize your interview prep and increase your chances of landing that wholesale merchant role.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We're in that final stretch of prepping for your wholesale merchant interview in the world of, those amazing commodities, coffee, tea, cocoa spices. It's exciting stuff.
It is. We've talked about a lot, haven't we? From navigating those, sometimes tricky interview questions and how to, build your personal brand to really showcasing your expertise in sourcing and pricing and negotiation. It's a lot to cover.
It is. And throughout our conversation, there's been this one thing that keeps coming up as, that real game changer, RoleCatcher's AI.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like having your own personal interview coach and career strategist all rolled into one.
I love that. So let's get into, how RoleCatcher's AI can help you, tailor your answers for this specific job.
Okay, so one of the coolest features is, their AI-powered resume and cover letter analysis. You upload your documents, and the AI it gives you instant feedback on how well they match up with, the skills and keywords in the job description.
Wow. So it's like having a super experienced recruiter looking over your materials and, just pinpointing what needs to be improved to really catch the hiring manager's attention.
Exactly. And it goes even further than that. RoleCatcher's AI, it actually suggests specific things you can do to improve. It'll help you, craft those really powerful bullet points that, showcase your accomplishments and really show your value.
So it's not just about, finding the weaknesses. It's about, actively making your application stronger, making it stand out.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really impressive. RoleCatcher's AI can also analyze your answers to common interview questions, and it gives you tailored feedback, based on the industry and the specific role you're going for.
No way. Seriously. So it's like having a mock interview with, an expert in the field and getting, personalized insights on how you did.
You got it. You can practice your answers, refine your delivery, and get feedback on everything from, what you're actually saying to the structure of your answers to your tone of voice, even your body language.
It's like having a secret weapon to, boost your confidence and just really polish your delivery.
It really is. And the best part is that RoleCatcher's AI, it's always learning and evolving. It's using this massive database of real interview questions and successful answers, and it just keeps getting better at giving you the most relevant and up-to-date guidance.
So the more you use it, the smarter it gets.
Pres-
Okay, so RoleCatcher's AI, it's clearly an amazing tool for interview prep, but can't forget that technology can only take us so far. It's still up to you to bring your authentic self to that interview, to show your passion for these incredible commodities, and just connect with those interviewers, on a human level.
I couldn't agree more. Technology, it can definitely, enhance your preparation, but it's your personality and your experience and your unique perspective that are really going to make you stand out.
So use RoleCatcher's AI to refine your answers
Yeah.
and boost your confidence. But don't forget to let your genuine enthusiasm and passion shine through.
Yeah, and a successful career as a wholesale merchant, it's not just about closing deals and, making the most money. It's about building relationships and understanding those global markets and really contributing to an industry that, brings joy to people all over the world.
That's a great way to put it. So to wrap things up, let's leave our listener with a final thought-provoking question. As you step into, this exciting career path, how will you use your passion for these amazing commodities to make a positive impact on the industry and, even beyond? We hope this deep dive has given you, the insights and the tools to succeed. go out there and just crush that interview.